Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Hanson. Thank you for joining us today. The purpose of this meeting here today is to go over the retirement planning section of your financial plan that we have constructed for you. So if you turn to page 54, we can get started. So in this section, we're going to be looking at your current aspects of what you have in order to fund retirement, and that includes your accounts and pensions and other things like that, along with going over your goals and a few of the recommendations that we have to help you perform better in this aspect of your life. The first thing we're going to talk about is your retirement goals, and these are the goals that you have stated in previous meetings with us, and we just like to run through them again. One of your major goals was that you would like to retire in the year 2024, and then you would also like to fund $150,000 a year in living expenses when both of you are alive, along with having $120,000 in living expenses when only one of you is alive. You would also like to fund your health care during retirement, and as well, you would also like to take an anniversary trip next year to Europe, and that will be costing $30,000 in today's dollars. You also want to have a new car for David every 3 years, and at this current time, the price of that car is $85,000. Margaret would also like to purchase a new car. That will be done every 10 years, and the purchase price of that vehicle is currently $40,000. Another goal that you have stated is that you would like to fund as much as possible for your nephews, Michael and Anthony's college. And while we have not selected a college at this time, we've talked about that more in depth in the education planning. That is a major goal, and we wanted to consider that in the retirement planning section. One of the last goals that you have is to have $3,000 a year in fund money so you can do extra things during your retirement years. So that's just a couple of your stated goals that you have for the retirement planning, and we'll go ahead and dive in a little bit. Now, looking at what you currently have for retirement, you have such accounts as David's pension through the TRS system, since he has been working for Texas Tech University for quite some time. You also have a joint savings account, an HSA that Margaret currently has. You have a very large and healthy brokerage account, which will greatly benefit you in funding your retirement. You also have the money market account, both of the IRAs, and a joint savings account. So we'll move into our first section here in the retirement planning section, which is going to be Social Security. So we have looked at all different aspects of Social Security in terms of when to take it and how much money you'll be getting. And so we looked at all those and determined that the best option for you to do is go ahead and wait till 70 years of age to begin drawing Social Security. From this, you'll get an additional 32% of benefits, so you'll receive a total of 132% of your Social Security benefits, which will therefore increase the amount of money that you'll be getting. And due to the aspect of both Margaret and David having a healthy life at this time, projected to live quite a long time, we've determined that the best option, as you stated, is to go ahead and wait till age 70 as to gain these additional benefits. Now, another part we wanted to look at is David's pension. This is going to be a major funding source for you guys during retirement. And so we've looked at the different options and calculated the current value of the pension and how much it is currently worth and the amount of money that you could be receiving from this. So there would be two options that you could take. You could go ahead and take the lump sum amount, which would pay out the whole TRS pension at once, and you could do with that as you like, or there's the option to go ahead and take an annuity option. And so after crunching the numbers, we as a firm have decided that the best choice of option for you to take is to annuitize, as the rate of return that you would need from the lump sum is significantly high, and therefore it would be difficult to have over the course of retirement. So we've calculated that out and determined, as we stated, the best course would be to go ahead and take the annuity option, which it was currently value of the TRS pension is about $860,000 and is projected to rise over $900,000 at retirement. So in taking the annuity option, you have a couple different options, but we have selected the four that we think are the best, and then we have chosen the best one for that. So the first option you could take is a single life option. This will pay David 100% of his pension annuity over the course of his life. Now, the only downside to this option is that if David were to die at any point, then Margaret would not receive any money from this pension. So that's something to consider. The second option is to go and take 100% joint survivor. This will pay out David 80% of his pension amount, but in the event that he passes at any point, Margaret will still be guaranteed that full 80% of the pension over the course of her remaining life. You could do the 50% joint survivor. This will pay out 87.5% of the total pension annuity amount, and then allow Margaret to receive 50% of that in the event of David's passing. The last option that we've considered is the 75% joint survivor. This will pay out 85.35% of the pension over the course of David's life, and in the event of his passing, this will pay Margaret 75% of that money. So after considering all these and running through some different numbers, and also taking into account some risk that we've talked about in the risk management section, as a firm, we decided that the best option for you to take is a single life. This will, as we stated, this will pay out David 100% of his annuity, and we think this is the best option as David is projected to live a healthy and long life, so we expect him to be around for a while. And due to your other healthy accounts that you currently have to help fund retirement, taking this money and getting it in full is going to greatly benefit you over the course of your retirement to be able to fund things and not have to worry about some financial aspects. So as we stated, we believe that would be the best option for you to take at this time. Another thing we want to talk about here today is the traditional IRA. While those are great accounts, they do have a couple downsides, such as taxes upon withdrawals and RMDs. So in order to mitigate these things, we decided that you should go ahead and roll over the traditional IRA to a Roth. And while you are currently making too much money to contribute to a Roth, you can use a backdoor strategy known as a backdoor Roth. Therefore, all you would need to do is to contact a financial institution that currently holds the traditional IRA and ask them to go ahead and transfer that over to a Roth. So you can do that through the current institution, or you can move it to another one. Either way, that's totally up to you. But in order to roll it over, that money that's currently in there, if you try to do it all at one time, all of that will be taxed as income for that current year. So whatever money you move over for that year is going to be taxed as income for that current year. So in order to mitigate this, we decided to go ahead and roll the traditional IRA over the course of 4 years, starting in 2025, ending in 2028, with a gradual increase every year until it's completely rolled over. Doing this over the course of 4 years will go ahead and keep you in the current tax bracket, so you won't have to pay any higher taxes. Now, obviously that money will be counted as income, so your tax bill will go up a little bit, but as we stated, you'll stay in your same tax bracket, so you won't be a significant jump. So that's something to consider, and we would strongly recommend doing that, as to just avoid a few things. Another thing we wanted to talk about here today is the apartment complex. It's something that you are considering doing for retirement, so we wanted to go ahead and touch on it and talk about the aspects of what that will provide if you do move forward with it. So obviously, you're going to purchase a 20% stake in the property, which will cost you $500,000. From that, you'll be afforded $39,550 a year in income, which is great. Now, if you consider all that, plus your pension, Social Security, salaries, everything that you currently have, which you would have at some point, minus the salaries and things, you would gain that additional money, and therefore would be a great impact over your financial plan and your retirement over the course of that time. So, in looking at what that would do for you, we've used a software called Money Guide Pro. And this software is used to project retirement planning, and so we ran a thing called a Monte Carlo simulation, which runs simulations of different things such as market downturns, market upticks, huge losses, huge gains, things of that matter. And so if we currently look at your situation as it states now, you have a 74% chance of completing all of your goals. So 740 times out of 1,000, you will be successful in completing all your financial goals that you have told us about. Now, if we include the apartment complex and a few other little recommendations that we've discussed, your confidence levels jump all the way up to 99%. So 990 out of 1,000 times, you will be successful in completing all your goals, which is excellent. So from that, we decided as a firm that the best course of option would be to go ahead and invest within the apartment complex, as it will significantly enhance your ability to fund all your goals during retirement and just have an overall better lifestyle during that time. So that was something we would strongly consider doing. So just kind of going back and looking at over your financial goals for retirement, we do feel strongly that you can go ahead and retire at your desired ages of 65 and 62, which will be in the year 2024. We don't see any issue with that. We think that is great. Go ahead and retire at those times if you would like. Your funding of retirement expenses, with that additional income from the apartment complex, plus your pensions and other accounts that we discussed earlier, we do feel that you can go ahead and fund the $150,000 to the $120,000 a year with both or one alive. So we're full confident with that. You can go ahead and do that. That is great. Another thing you want to talk about was the health care during retirement. So if you go ahead and enroll in the Medicare and Health Select, which we talked about in the previous section of your financial plan, you will be significantly covered. It should be a low cost for you, so it will not affect your retirement overall in such a drastic way. Your new cars, we do feel that you can go ahead and do these new cars, as we talked about the strategy in the cash management section, which will allow you to buy the car, sell it, and therefore lower the cost of that second vehicle. And over time, this will save you quite a bit of money. And so with this strategy for using both David and Margaret, you can go ahead and purchase your new cars every 3 and 10 years. And you can have those new cars. So that's really nice. You get to ride around in style. The funding for your nephews, Anthony and Michael's college, and the education planning of this plan, we talked about how we believe you should use a 529 prepaid plan. With this, you'll pay all of it up front. You won't have to pay any money during retirement, so therefore all of that expense will be taken away. And so you have nothing to worry about during those years. So you'll be able to fund as much or as little as you want with those prepaid 529s, and therefore not have to worry about anything in retirement. So that is great. Now that last one of $3,000 a year in fund money. So you're currently running a large surplus plus the additional income that you would get from the apartment complex. So obviously that's great, but in retirement you probably won't be running that surplus because you will no longer have those salaries. But you will have that apartment income, you will have the pension income, and like I said, you have those other healthy accounts that you can use. So we do feel with these income streams and accounts that you can go ahead and fund those $3,000 a year in fund money without an issue. You can go ahead and pull from different sources, as we stated, the pension, the apartment complex, out of one of the accounts, such as a brokerage account. So from that, as we stated, we do feel that you can go ahead and fund that. So that was just a quick overview of the retirement planning section of your plan. We thank you very much for coming in today, and we thank you for working with the Harris Financial Group. You have a good day, Mr. and Mrs. Hanson.